What's up, Average Dad fans? Welcome back to another video. And today is the 1 year later review. No, wait. Today is the 1 week later review of the... What am I going to call this? It's the OnePlus Open, which was out a year ago, but it's the OnePlus Open Apex, which was out, well, now. Let's go. So, yes, this is the OnePlus Open Apex Edition. While that variant was released just last week, the actual phone was released a year ago. So consider this a long-term review slash update review of the new variant. And this weekend, put it through its paces. I took this away with me without a charger for 2 days. I used this as my mini tablet in the hotel room. I used it for GPS. I used it for social media, business, consuming content, all the stuff you would do with your phone. So I want to tell you about my experience and, of course, battery life. And then ultimately, in 2024, is this still a flagship foldable phone? Firstly, let's talk about the positives. And the first place I want to start, I normally leave this till later in a review video, but no, I want to talk about this triple camera setup. Throughout my very brief 30-hour trip in Switzerland this weekend, I visited Basel and Zurich. Here you can see some photos and videos. What a fantastic time. And for those that don't know, I headed over to Switzerland to deliver 3 phones to 2 members. How's that for hand-delivered special service? No, that isn't the norm. I won't hand-deliver every device you buy, but this kind of just fitted, and I avoid customs for them, and I got a great trip of it, and I got to meet 2 channel members, which was extremely good. Now, in terms of photography and videos, though, as you can see, the OnePlus Open is absolutely a flagship. This is a stunning camera display. I love the 6x hybrid, essentially almost 6x optical zoom you get on it. Photos don't look soft until you get to about 30x higher. Portraits are good. Colours are fantastic. The OnePlus Hasselblad collaboration has taken a while, but as I mentioned in my full review of this last year, they finally started to nail the colour science, the saturation, the sharpness. The camera app itself is great. I love the Hasselblad sound effect you get every time you use the shutter button. There's a lot to love with the OnePlus Open cameras. And of course, with the Apex Edition, there's nothing new here. It's the exact same setup. So nothing standalone that the Apex brings extra, in case you're wondering, other than it's a year on. It's had, 5 or 6 updates since the original OnePlus Open came out. And those updates are great on the camera. So overall, cameras, it was great to have this device with me. I didn't feel like I ever needed to reach in and take out my iPhone 15 Pro Max or my Samsung S24 Ultra. This is a more than capable flagship camera setup on a foldable device. And then when I wasn't out and about, I just wanted to chill in the room, catch up on the whole Logan Paul CoffeeZilla scandal, watch a bit of Leon Lush or Lush Life. If you haven't checked out those videos, watch Leon Lush, he's unbelievable. And this was great. The near 8-inch inner screen gave me everything I needed, even with my dodgy eyesight. This is more than a big enough canvas. And the internal speakers, I had Bluetooth headphones. I used Bluetooth headphones. But rest assured, if you're in a pinch and you don't have headphones, this is one of the first, if not still the only, you can correct me in the comments, phones that uses triple speakers. Not dual, but triple. There are 3 speakers in here, outward facing, that help give you some spatial type audio. Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, wanna run off and fly. While this is by no means full Dolby Atmos, it's nothing like my Sonos Arc, which I just got the other day. Fantastic speaker for the entertainment system. But for a phone, one of, if not the best speakers on a mobile phone, period. And I'll just quickly touch on connectivity. This is obviously a global version of the device. 5G support on all bands, on all networks, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, all the usual gubbins you want, Android Auto, smartwatch connectivity, although I wear a Garmin, which connects to all devices, even Chinese ROMs. It was just seamless, and I think that my experience traveling when you're relying on boarding passes, Google payments, just all the other little nuances that you get from traveling and you want a bit of security, for me, having the global ROM just made things slightly easier, I will say that. Now, other positives that absolutely mean nothing towards the performance or photography, it's just the overall design. I had a few envious looks at this device while walking through Basel or on the bus or train. One person asked me what it was. I informed them. It's a stunning device. It really is beautiful. And another thing I want to touch on, and you're going to find this a bit strange, but the dimensions. Yes, the screens are almost perfect. 6.3 inch outer, 7.95 inch inner, or 7.86 inch inner it might be. I'll correct myself here. But the actual weight, thickness, and dimensions of the frame and body, I also think are near perfect. You will have seen me review many, many foldable phones. And as the months go on, Honor released the thinnest phone, Xiaomi released one of the thinnest phones, Vivo released the X Fold 3, which is like 10 millimeters. Google are coming out with a 10.5 millimeter Pixel 9 Pro Fold. And that's all great. But with that thinness comes a subconscious feeling of, shit, I might break this. And you're not going to. You'd have to do some real force to break these screens nowadays. But that's the feeling a really uber thin device gives you. However, with the OnePlus Open being 12 millimeters and aluminium, and with the shiny aluminium frame, it just feels premium and, more importantly, sturdy. And of course, Gorilla Glass Victus helps. So again, that's nothing that you're going to experience until you have it in your hand, but rest assured, this feels and is sturdy as F. Now I want to talk about a positive and a negative all in one category. Battery. Now on the face of it, the 4,800 milliamp hour battery is small in 2024 standards, but in 2023 standards, it was average. What isn't average in 2024 is the lack of wireless charging. And I had a real life example of this being an absolute pain. So, timeline. I woke up at 5 a.m. for my flight to Basel, Switzerland. I took the phone off charge. It was obviously at 100%. I then travelled to Basel, walked around the streets with the channel member. We got some lunch. We took lots of photos and videos, took a little boat trip. We done lots of things at all times using the phone for navigation, but mostly for photos and videos, and obviously messaging, WhatsApp, Instagram, all the usual things you do with a phone, but for a sustained period of time on the photos and videos. I then got back to my hotel in Zurich round about 5 p.m, I want to say, and at that point my phone was on about 55% battery, which I was quite impressed with. I then went up to my room and had an early night because I'd been up super early, and the night before, if you haven't seen it already, I done the Tech Disruptors Live podcast. You can go ahead and check that. I'll link that in the description or pin the comment to the top. Really good podcast. It was nice to chat with all those guys, and I will be on that again for sure. Had a really great time. But that limited my sleep to like 3 hours. So I had an early night, but before falling asleep, as I say, I caught up on some content using this. By the time I got to sleep, the phone was at about 32% battery. I then thought, I'll get up in the morning, I'll have a shower, I'll put the phone on charge. It charges pretty quick. All will be well. However, I forgot my European adapter. Shit. I asked the hotel front desk, there was no UK wall plug. Okay, this is going to be interesting because we're now down to about 26%, 25%, and I've still got the full day wandering around Zurich, taking a bus, then a train, to another bus, to the airport. And inevitably, I had to turn power saving on, but then I got to the airport with about 8%, and voila, there was wireless chargers all over this little desk. But this phone doesn't have wireless charging, does it? So I luckily went to the lounge, asked the desk there, and they had an adapter. I was able to charge it, 60 odd watts, it charged quick. But that lack of wireless charging in my day-to-day life doesn't bother me. But in restaurants, especially if you're going to fast food, airports, there are usually wireless chargers kicking about or somewhere to plug your phone in. With the lack of wireless charging, that was an issue for me on that one occasion. Now, this was entirely my fault. I forgot the adapter, but I bring this up because if I had travelled with my Honor Magic V3, my Xiaomi Mix Fold 4, my X Fold 3 Pro, my Samsung Z Fold 6, I would have been fine with a wireless charger. And that's the biggest drawback battery-wise with the OnePlus Open in 2024. And then a couple of other things that didn't impact me on this trip, but will absolutely impact you in real life use and in future, is the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chip. No matter which way you cut it, it's about to be 2 years old. The 3-year software support, yes, you heard me correct, 3 years, not the 4 years you got when you bought the OnePlus Open last year. And for those that are saying this is a new device, this is the biggest telltale sign this is not a new device. It's the same device because you're getting 1 year less software support from OnePlus. So less Android updates, less security patches, all that is deducted a year if you buy this one. So that is something to consider when purchasing the device for sure. However, you know me, personally, I'll be swapping this out in about a week. In fact, I'm sure one of you will want to buy this. And of course, as always, you can contact me on Instagram or in the WhatsApp chat if you're interested in the Apex Edition. And then before I talk about price, I do just want to touch on something I didn't do too often, I have to be entirely honest, but I have done it a million times with other OnePlus Opens: multitask and pen support. Front and inner display, no, not just the inner display like certain Samsung devices. Both displays have stylus support, and the inner multitasking, I've talked about this before, is probably the best implementation of multitasking around. It's called the OnePlus or the Open Canvas, and you can get 4 apps at any time, but in a really cool configuration. 3 side by side, with one larger one underneath, so you can swipe up and down to get to that, or you can swipe across. You can copy and paste from each window as well. Yes, you can multitask on most devices, but this to date is still the first one with that configuration of 3 side by side and one underneath, and for me it works really, really well. I really do like the multitasking. And then, as promised, to finish this 1 year later review, I'm going to stick with that. It's a 1 year later review. It's a terabyte of storage. which boosts the price to roughly 1,600 Great British pounds or $1,900. And that's a steep price to pay when you consider that the half terabyte OnePlus Open is about $1,300 or £1,200. So do you want to pay an extra $600 for half a terabyte of storage? You can. That is absolutely your prerogative and you can do it. I just don't think it's good value for money, but I'm not getting into that. And I almost forgot there is something else. When you flick down the alert slider, you're entered into a VIP mode. It means nothing, folks. It's do not disturb. It's turning your mics off. It's a gimmick. I'm sorry. Phones are secure enough. I'm not going to change my stance on that. The fact that OnePlus are selling this as a new device because it has a security chip and security features, I think that's a cop-out. I think all your phones should have these security features because we do our banking. We live our lives through our phones. So them advertising this phone, saying it has this security features and all that gubbins, well, put it on your other ones for free. Because we already pay enough for the device and you should be making them secure. So that's why I've not given any light to the security features added to this device. Now, you can pick up the OnePlus Open Apex Edition from the Average Dad Tech Store. And I am the cheapest at £1,550 here in the UK. But I am telling you now, unless you are desperate to get a terabyte of storage or this red colorway, don't buy it. It's not worth it. The half terabyte is far better a deal if you want to buy new, or even better, have a look on eBay or Craigslist in the US or Gumtree here in the UK. You can probably pick up a OnePlus Open for between £700 and £800 or $1,000 in the US. Do that. Because this, in summary, is still a flagship device. It needs wireless charging, it needs a newer chipset, but other than that, this is damn near perfect. So, hopefully you've enjoyed this 1 year later review. That's what I'm sticking with. I think that's what I agreed. And I have enjoyed it, and I will be back with more content. I was away this weekend, so I've got a few videos to get caught up on. One of them being the first impressions of the Huawei Mate 60 RS Porsche Edition Ultimate. Yeah, the name of the phone is in there somewhere, but it's got all those words in it. And then I'm going to compare that with my favourite camera phone of all time, the Vivo X100 Ultra. And then ultimately see if Huawei have obviously lost their grasp on software, but have they lost their grasp on having the best hardware and cameras globally? Vivo might have just beat them, but we'll find out in that video. Until next time.